One of the questions we constantly get is like fast rings and foam and all the stuff that we do on the door panels. Is it totally worth it? Are you gonna get the best sound out of the car? You know, we always say yes and people debate it and whatnot, but I can tell you right now with authority that this type of an installation is guaranteed to give you a crappy sound output. There's no way that this speaker is doing anything other than making some form of a crappy noise for sure. That is pretty sad.
Alright, so the factory has 5x7. I don't see the reason why you cut it that much.
I think it was cut beforehand. I think there was a previous set of speakers in here and someone just...
If you have a 6.5, the only thing you have to cut is top and bottom, not the size.
I agree. Maybe somebody tried to fit a 6x9 in here. I don't know. Somebody tried to put a bigger speaker in this and then these found their way in here somehow.
I'm gonna put a 12 in here.
Okay, whatever works for you. Or some 8s.
Like...
Oh wow, that's just gnarly.
What kind of shape is this?
I don't know. Putting new speakers in this is definitely going to be fun because we're gonna have to come up with a new mounting system. As you can see here, like this is bent out. We're gonna have to bend that back in flat. And we're gonna have to come up with a way to remount these speakers in here so that they can go into this. Lots of fun. Fernando has the front door off on the passenger side. Oh, what the?
They get tired.
Okay, get totally tired.
They get tired. It's like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
What the heck?
I'm not doing that anymore.
So we have 3 random screws. Oh my gosh. All right, what the heck? Why did they even do that? That's what I'm telling you, there had to be something going on in this car prior to this installation.
Yeah, like...
It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Like, literally.
Oh, the speaker goes right in. That's what I'm telling you.
It goes right in.
There
You don't
had
even
to be-
have to cut it. What was the reason to cut it?
I don't know, but we're gonna have to remove it, so it doesn't matter.
I know.
We are concocting a plan. However, I wanted Fernando to get all the doors off so we could kind of look at all of them to figure out the mysteries of what we have. The driver's front door is now off and they cut a smiley face bigger thing here. Here's the idea that I've been working with. We want to make one bracket for all 4 doors. The front doors have a bigger area that is nice and flat for us to mount to. Whatever we come up with, this is obviously going to be the easier one of the 2. When looking at the back door, as you can see here, there's this lip that they kind of gnawed away. I don't want to go back in here and cut this all out. It just seems like putting worse time into the situation. It just doesn't make any sense. The plan is to add some blue tape over the surface of this. And then from there, we're going to trace out this basic shape and then we're going to transfer that over to a piece of plastic. So let's start there first. As we can see with the blue tape on, we can use this to mark our area as far as how big our new adapter needs to be. We want to trace this high point along here, along the top here. This area here is fine. Come out. As you can see, he's already marked this area. We want to make sure that our adapter doesn't get in the way of that. This gives us our outside shape. The next step is to peel this off the door carefully. We'll transfer that onto a piece of plastic. We'll get it all straightened out, and then we'll cut this shape out and we'll test fit it back in. And then we have a couple more things we need to do to make it how I want it to fit. This is the basic shape we're looking for. I want to cut this out, and this is going to be our template for the rest of them that we're going to make. Let's go test fit it on the door. For the rear doors, this shape is exactly what I was looking for. It's out to this edge. There's still a gap here though. The next step is to make a second one of these, but I'm only gonna make it to where it's 3/8 of an inch. So the center is gonna be cut out. That'll go over this whole piece. We could screw it into this and it'll take in consideration all this jagged mess that we have to deal with. It'll just cover the whole thing up and then sit flush on this nice flat metal. To do that, I need to router out a second one of these. To attach this to our new square piece, we're gonna use some of the Mobile Solutions template tape. Make sure to press firmly. Check your bearing height. Now we have an exact copy. I need to scribe in a 3/8 line all the way around this. To do that, I'm going to use a compass. Simple compass, got a pointer on one end and a pencil on the other. And I'm just going to go around the edge like so with my compass, and that will give me the exact size I need. And that is now traced on there. I'm just going to use the Rockwell upside down jigsaw to do that. Get a starter hole. And we have our shape. The idea is this. Now this should go over and cover all that nonsense. Go check. So I got one spot right here that I need to thin out, but otherwise, this will do the trick. I want to check it on the front door and see how it works there. The front door doesn't need this. I'm just using this so I can see how flat it's going to sit on the surface here. This sits nice and flat. It's not like it couldn't use it because it does need to come out some from the door panel. Either way, this shape is gonna work in all 4 doors. All I have to do now is router a bunch of these out and also make the hole in the center for the 6.5 that we're gonna be using. Good news. The back brackets are assembled, put together. This is what we're looking at here. Next is to add some foam to this side. The speaker itself, we'll put the foam on that once we get to it. All foamed up. I'll get these over to Fernando so that he can get these into the car. Once we get to that point, we'll head back over and take a look at the finished product. The fronts don't need that extra piece. Made our holes, added our foam to the back. They'll sit flush up against the car. We may need to put a spacer on here to bring it further into the door panel. We'll wait and see once we get to that point what these need, but these are now ready to get into the car. Let's take a look at how we're going to be doing the front door. We've made the panels. The first step is to figuring out where they go. To do that, Fernando put the door panel on because the grill was missing that there. He was able to line it up and down. What he did is he put double-sided tape on the back of this and was able to stick it into place until he found the right height. Once he found the right height, he pulled the door panel back on and used 4 self-tapping screws to screw it into place. Now those aren't the finished product. Those are just so we know where to put in our nut certs. The next step is to add the nut certs. What are nut certs, you're asking? A nut cert is a threaded rivet. It's going to get stuck into the door. This lined area here will get compressed. That will allow us to screw in and unscrew that panel as many times as we want without it stripping out or doing anything bad like that. The self-tapping screws were just a temporary placeholder. With all 4 nut certs now in place, we can screw our panel in permanently using M5 threaded screws with washers. At this point, let's pause on getting the speaker in the door and let's hop over to the door panel and take a look at that tweeter location. The reason why we want to do that is a lot of these trucks don't have that tweeter, and you can add it, but here's what you need to know. First thing, you have to make sure that that top grill is perforated like this one is. Some of them aren't. If they're not, you're gonna have to mount the tweeter on this area here, which this isn't flat and it's not gonna look as good. You can do it, or get your hands on the perforated grill. To replace these speakers with a 5x7, the nice thing about it is you pop that grill off and then you can just easily unscrew and screw in the 5x7. You don't actually have to take the door panel off, but to do the tweeter, you have to take the door panel off. This is the location for the tweeter. Now the nice thing is it's easy enough to put a flush mount tweeter into this, which is what we're going to be doing. Get your flush mount cup like this here, and then of course see if it fits into the hole. I'm gonna spoil it for you that most of them aren't gonna fit in the hole. It'd be really nice if you could just grind this hole out equally and slide this in, but you can't because of this right here. What you want to do is you want to grind it slowly, but just grinding this bottom area until you get it so that this will fit into place. That way that the top of this mount will rest on here. For this we'll be using a grinder. To grind it, come from the bottom. Don't come from the top, because if the grinder is to get crazy, it could, you know, like, scratch the whole top of the door panel. You want to do that. After a few back and forths with the grinder and a few test fittings, it will pop right into place. You don't want it loose, you want it tight, you want it to kind of snap into place. Most of these now are going to come with some way to mount them. This Focal tweeter happens to use the old tried and true tooth method. If yours uses this and the tweeter will come apart, make sure to take the tweeter apart before you try to put this on. It just makes things a little bit easier. The idea behind this is to snap over the opening and sandwich the front ring with this new added back ring. The flathead screwdriver is very handy for getting it in place. Once you have it firmly mounted in place, twist the tweeter back in. Of course, rotate it so that the logo is facing the right direction. And there you have it, the tweeter is now in. The tweeter is now wired up in place. There's a connection here if we ever need to service it. Then that wire is zip tied over to here, and hidden up underneath here is our crossover. The crossover is mounted to this frame rail here, which is a weld point. The other side of this doesn't go through the door panel, so we were able to add in 3 screws here, and then the crossover is mounted firmly into here. The reason why it is mounted here is so that weather won't affect it. It's in a dry area. We've added this 4-pin plug to it so that the door panel can plug in and unplug if it needs to be serviced. For some reason Ford decides they need to service this door by pulling the door panel off, it'll unplug, which we'll show you as soon as we mount the speaker. Let's head over and do that. Inside the door panel we have our speaker wire. Clip our speaker into place. We've used shrink wrap to denote positive and negative. Pre-drilled the holes. Now it's just a matter of lining them up and screwing it in. This is the other end of our plug. Just like the factory has all these plugs that are going to be removed when you need to take the door panel off, our plug will also be able to remove, so you can easily service this whole area here.